Suave.
I've been in my bag for a while, I'm invincible. Story of a young boss, grinding shit get critical. Calling on my bros one time, cause you special. I had some hoop dreams of right rounds for my mentor. Every target that I shoot is on point like a pencil. Different road, changed relationships, I'm so sorry. Came up from the trenches and I made it, I say hardly. Now
It's a good thing you don't go to Starbucks, because Starbucks will give you a whole new understanding of how your name is spelled.
It's intentional at this point.
You go to
though,
Starbucks
isn't
and
it?
you get a fucking different name on your cup. and
Every
you look at them
time.
like, this is for Jake? They're like, yeah, for Jake. And you're like, JAY-K-E. Like, what? They come up with all kinds of shit over there.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty guys, we are back with another episode of the What's in Your Bag podcast presented by Bet Online. I'm your host, Andrew Robinson, and as you guys can see, we are joined by two incredible guests on the couch today. But before we introduce our guests, man, you guys know we got to get the business out of the way, all right? So make sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, man, I need you to stop what you're doing, go ahead and tap that subscribe button, tap that like button, tell a friend, drop a comment, give us some feedback, goes a long way. If you're hearing us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, follow the show. Give us a 5-star rating. We'd appreciate it. You know what I mean? Or, you know, whatever rating you would like. We appreciate all positive and negative feedback, whatever the case may be, man. But show us some love. This is my guy, Pull Up Tay, on the intro. Make sure you guys are streaming his music, one of the hottest up-and-coming artists out of the DMV. Last but not least, guys, as you can see, we've been in the studio all season. We've had some incredible conversations here at Slap Studios right in Beverly Hills. So if you are in LA, you're in the area, you want to create some dope content, record a podcast, whatever the case may be, make sure you guys tap in to Slap Studios here in LA. Great team, great people. But now that we got the business out of the way, like I mentioned, we have two incredible guests that, quite honestly, man, we've been trying to connect and make this happen for a minute. You know what I mean? So I'm incredibly proud and honored to have you guys on the couch today to have this conversation. I think, like I said, we've been trying to make it happen for a while, but the timing couldn't be better. I think things always happen in due time when they're supposed to happen, man. And these two individuals are two incredibly talented individuals, somebody who I look up to as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's also trying to grow a brand. These are two people who have been doing it for a long time, have done some incredible work, and built an even more incredible community just around the game of basketball. So we're pleased to be joined by the founders of Bristol Studio, Jake Fenster and MAASAI Ephriam. Thank you for joining us today, fellas.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us, man. We don't take it for granted the fact that you feel having us on your show would add value to your audience. So
yeah, an honor to be here on the couch in person, because I know that we've had a podcast ourselves, and we know what that takes to actually bring it in person and have the conversation. So this is great to see.
No doubt, man. And I want to give you guys your flowers first and foremost, man, because before we ever had this conversation on the podcast in front of all the cameras, man, you guys took time out of your day to just have a coffee, with me and give me some gems of advice. And I feel like, people might be hearing this, might be like, oh, that's nothing. You know what I mean? It's a small thing. But as you guys know, here in LA, man, it's tough. In the world in general, man, to get people to, like, reach back. You know what I mean? A lot of times, like, people are they gatekeep information, or they feel like once you get to a certain point, it's like, I don't really want to, give nobody the sauce to get here, man. And you guys took time to just, give me some advice, help me out, and really just help inspire me to even get this space to record in person, man. So I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you guys, and I want to start the episode off with that before we even get into anything, man. You guys are two genuine individuals, man. I genuinely appreciate you guys. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Of course, appreciate that.
That was, I mean, believe it or not, those moments actually, they, as much as people say it helps them, it inspires us too, because it kind of reminds us, of our journey. Like, we remember being on the other side of that conversation. We still are very much on the other side of that conversation a lot of times.
Yeah, in our own ways, for sure.
We hope that, we're able to do for others what others have done for us, or what we wanted others to do for us. So that's just, it's just who we are.
Yeah. Now, me and Jake were talking a little bit before you got here, MAASAI, about just the grind recently and the physical toll on your bodies. Man, you two are some of the most well-traveled individuals I ever seen, man.
I think one of us is more well-traveled than the other one, but
I can fit better in the economy, so like
I'm the perfect height where it starts to suck on an airplane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not too tall, but I'm tall enough where my knees are in the back of the seat in front of me at all times.
Bad. And you know what's crazy? People all be like, "Oh my God, you're so tall, it's so cool." I'm like, until you're on the airplane, it sucks.
An airplane is a great reminder of your height.
Yeah.
It's like if I don't have the extra row, I'm doomed.
So that's why it's a lot easier for me to just be like, oh yeah, like I'll go there, we'll go there, like, because I can just squeeze right into the little economy vibe and kick my feet out.
Got no problem. He has no problem with a flight. I have every problem with a flight. For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, also it just comes with the territory.
Yeah,
like it's from day one, being in the fashion industry, like Paris is just somewhere you have to be. And like, seasonally. So since 2016, we've been going out there and doing what we got to do. So early on, traveling was, and for me personally, has always been a big part of like the way I wanted to design my life. I've always wanted to do something. I studied abroad a lot. And when I went out, studied abroad the first time, I was like, oh, wow, like the world it's bigger than just LA and the States. And I was like, I want this to be a normal thing for me. Yeah. And so ending up in this industry was kind of a perfect fit for me personally because I'm always in Europe. I'm always all over the U.S. Like wherever we got to be, we go. And it just fits. I just like it. I like it a lot.
Now, I want to pause real quick, man, because that was a crazy flex. This man just said, seasonally, you got to be in Paris. So, we go to Paris seasonally.
Hey, look, he's used to it, man.
I lived in Italy for a year, my freshman year of college. So that was my first experience abroad in a real way for a long period of time. And when you do that, you realize how doable it actually is once you like kind of remove a lot of the roadblocks that you put in front of yourself. And also you just have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Like I'm not staying in 5-star hotels, and I'm not, we know all too well, like we're a lot of times we're on couches, we're getting the cheapest flights, like whatever, we just got to get there. And that's kind of something you get I've gotten used to. I'm trying not to be too used to it, but sometimes you just do what you got to do. And I think early on that kind of gave me that willingness to be uncomfortable from doing it so much at a young age. It just kind of felt normal.
Yeah. How about you, Jake?
Shit. I can't curse on this, I don't think. Or I can't. I don't know. All right. Well, it is what it is. We're rolling. We're live. So for me, I think traveling, I look at it, in a similar perspective. I go where I need to go, right? So I think I really don't say no to a travel, experience, which again, to your point, sounds like, crazy to say out loud, but for us, it's like, it comes down to, is it somewhere we have to be? And if it is, I'll make it happen. And, as we get more into like our backgrounds and like what we do, operationally, I handle all the fulfillment and everything on the back end. So I have to be very careful with my time and being on the road. And MAASAI does a great job of holding it down on the road. So we're just in constant communication. So for me, when I travel, I have to make sure it's quick and like to the point. And if it becomes a longer trip, it's because there's something that has to happen. And then I got to figure out operationally how we're going to keep the ship moving while I'm gone, which we've been able to do.
Sometimes we have to divide and conquer. Obviously, we prefer to be able to do things together, but that's a part of being a small team. It's like you make the most of whatever you got.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get into, like, obviously Bristol and stuff, but I want to know, like, how did y'all two meet? You know what I mean? Let's get into that. You know what I mean?
So, funny enough, we went to the same middle school. So, my best friend in middle school, Jake's
I'm like 3
way
years
younger.
I'm like 3 years
super young.
Way young.
He's very young.
Like, I was a freshman in high school and he was a senior.
Yeah, he's very young. So, my best friend in middle school, his younger brother was Jake's best friend. So we were always loosely connected since middle school through our best friends. And then we reconnected after college, like in college actually.
Yeah, I was still in college.
Because my best friend had started Bristol Studio at that time. And so I was helping him out with that, going from there. And then we brought Jake in while he was still in school. And Jake was like the first person that we brought in really in a real way. And then that's when building the brand has really, we became one.
So at that time when I like came in officially, it was, Bristol was going through this evolution as like, early days, you're trying to figure out how to make apparel. It was kind of more like men's contemporary fashion. Just really trying to figure out like, where do you make stuff in LA? How do you bring it together, bring it to life? And so when I, joined when I was in college, this is a long-winded answer to your question, but I was studying sports business, right? So for me, I was so focused on the why of things, and especially in the sports industry, not just the what and the how. And so when we when we paired up, in those early stages, that was when Bristol Studio really became this basketball lifestyle brand, where we started exploring that in a deeper level, a deeper context, to really, really define that space.
Yeah. And so through the brand, we almost inherited one another.
Yeah.
And it's been actually the biggest blessing, because we're so different that it's like it's like a puzzle piece, though. Like yin and yang vibes, literally black and white. and he sees things in a different way that I really appreciate, because I see things like in a very specific way sometimes, and it's really helpful to have an outside perspective, especially from a brain that literally is just wired differently. He can be very like, he can catch the little things a lot of times, and like he's like, like a computer basically, and my brain can be like all over the place sometimes. So it really is helpful, and I think it actually makes us so much stronger as a brand, because when we come together and tell stories, we know how to speak to all audiences, because we come from all audiences. So it's been really great, and I feel blessed for us to have inherited one another through our best friends.
And to that point, basketball was at the center of it. When you're 3 years apart in middle school or high school, it seems so different. But when you're playing basketball, it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what language you speak. You're just all connected on the court, and that's where our relationship really grew, was playing basketball together. You learn how to play with each other, in the game without speaking to each other. So you develop another level of that relationship, and that's something that we use in business.
Literally from middle school, like playing at our friend's house, like that's where it all started. That was the watering hole on Bristol Avenue. That's where the name of the brand came from. So that was kind of the ethos of the brand, was literally how basketball has brought people together, people who otherwise probably never would have crossed paths. And you see how special something you can do when you do connect with people. We never would have thought something like this would even be possible, but it worked out perfectly. But that's the power of the game.
So I kind of want, while we're talking about you guys in dynamic, I want to ask you guys, because I feel like as somebody who's kind of went through the ups and downs of trying to build something with somebody else, like me and my brother, we started All Facts Media together. And it's easy when, we're family, so it's like, it is what it is. Like, we can talk to each other any kind of way. It's like, it's all love, you know what I mean? But then he went into coaching. He went the coaching routes, and then it's like, oh, snap, like, I'm running this by myself. And now it's like, I'm trying to find other people to bring on that care about it as much as me, you know what I mean? And it's like, you got to go through interns and people coming and going, and like, or people that maybe aren't interns, but like maybe they don't share the same passion that you have for your baby, you know what I mean? So like, what has the dynamic been like for you guys, like collaborating? Because I think it's tough to try to find a piece that works and that fits.
Well, it's rooted in trust, because, it's actually very similar to what happened to you. We had a former business partner who had started the brand and was a big voice and creative and all that had to do with the brand. And he had decided to go a different route and just go do something else with life. And, at that time, like I said, we had to make a decision of like, okay, is this something that we still believe in? Is this something that we're willing to embark on together? And, it was a gamble. I mean, it could have been an easy opportunity to say, you know what, that just maybe we just quit, maybe we just give up,
wrap it up, move
on. It was a very real like one of those kind of life-changing conversations, that I had with Jake, and I was like, yo, this is happening, and I would love for you to still be on this journey. And Jake was like, yes, like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Like, let's keep doing that. And that was very much a new beginning for the brand.
Yeah, and I think, there's obviously life stuff that happens. And for me in that time, to your point, right, to try to help illuminate like what really, went through my head as it was about to be, just the two of us. And how I knew there was a deeper level of trust was, I was going through some stuff. Some, friends had passed away and things going on while we were at this huge crossroads. And there were days where, MAASAI knew. I didn't have to tell him. He just knew. and he didn't bother me. He let me handle what I needed to handle, and he took care of the business side of things that needed to be done that day. And we would obviously, touch base in the line, but he knew what I was dealing with without me saying anything, and I knew that I could trust him. And so just to see that, you think you can trust people, but when you see people actually following
in the
fire, wouldn't it be a lot easier to just let it all go and move on? That was for me, one of those moments where I was like, okay, like that gave me a battery again, too, in my back where, all right, he supported me in those moments when, it seems too big to support somebody.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now I have to do that. I have to pay that back. I got to bring it back. I got to keep pushing. I got to keep fighting. So for me, that was kind of, to your point about trust and how do you find those people, it's hard. And I think, again, not to be corny, but like we had developed such a relationship playing basketball and just out in the world. And like that was the foundation that, again, that unspoken language, like when we were in two different places, we were able to trust each other and trust that we're still moving towards the same goal.
Right.
That's not something tangible. It isn't something you can do on a resume. Yeah. It's just real life experience and a feeling over time with somebody. So there isn't a shortcut or a cheat code.
No, you can't hide character at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for instance, in the position you're in, you're talking about like how do you find the pieces to your team that are going to be needed to scale and to take it to the next level. Yeah. The biggest things that I would look for in that scenario, if I'm someone in that position, given like what we've been through and based on our experience, I'm looking for work ethic and willingness to be uncomfortable. Because these days, like, or probably in all days, but from what we see, a lot of people today kind of expect the red carpet to be rolled out, and they're expecting a certain level of like baseline comforts and all these things. But on this entrepreneurial journey, it's rock bottom. Yeah. It's like if you haven't built it, it's not there.
Right.
So that's kind of you have to find people who have that mentality and willing to get their hands dirty in a real way. And also who are just have high character. That's one of the things about Jake that I really appreciate on this journey is he won't compromise on like morals and character plays. Like when it's like, all right, what is the right thing to do?
Right.
He's very always very strict about doing the right thing, and I really appreciate that because we've seen in this industry, especially.
I've never heard this before. This is brand new for the audience.
No, it's new. This is a breaking
news.
Breaking news of flowers.
Shit, we're doing flowers today.
But it's just like that is you're talking about finding someone you can build. Because again, I wouldn't have moved forward if I didn't. Have these
for sure.
Comforts.
For sure.
Like
For sure.
I wouldn't have agreed to even go this far if I didn't think he had those intangibles, because especially, and we saw firsthand, like, it just matters. People remember how you make them feel. They remember how you treat them. Yeah. And that stuff comes full circle every time.
Every time.
And so you want to make sure you build a team with people who, at the end of the day, when they're out in the world or when they're dealing with people, they're leaving a good, I'm trying to find something other to say than leave a good taste in people's mouths.
You can't, don't do that.
Like they're leaving good vibes with people, and like they're doing right by people.
Yeah.
That's the key, is like do right by people, or at least when you can't, be transparent and be communicative, so that they're like, all right, I knew, like, if he's screwing me over because he has to. He did, like, but he wouldn't,
no
other way.
Right. So which in business tends to happen sometimes, but
tough.
I think character and work ethic are the two biggest things, because skill set can be learned.
Right.
Some people are extremely talented, which is why they can get away with having shaky character and shaky work ethic. Yeah. But if you're talking about building a team, a long-term team, and building something that's going to stand the test of time, you can't waver on character and you can't waver on work ethic.
Yeah. How about you, Jake? If you could give somebody advice, like as far as building a team, what are some quality or things that you would look for somebody out there that's trying to find that person to go on this journey with?
One of the things I feel like additionally that I've noticed that's so important, and I think in being an entrepreneur or building any business, whether it's a single business or multiple businesses, that you have to do is you have to be multifaceted, and you have to offer something that the current business owner or person who's looking to hire doesn't offer. Yeah. You can't have two people that do the same thing and expect to have a team of two that looks like a team of 20. You have two people in there that each have a unique skill set, and maybe you have crossover, which is helpful at times, but you have two people that can go out into the world and represent the brand well, and let's say you're both in 2 different cities and you're both going to events and you both come back the next day for a meeting and you have 10 new contacts instead of 5, right? Like that's how you really grow and scale in a way that goes beyond just having, 2 people who are good at one thing. So having that ability to be a multi-hyphenate.
What do they call it? Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, being a Swiss Army knife is super important.
That's fire. So I want to talk about when I kind of met you guys and how I kind of was introduced to Bristol, because I've been seeing you guys stuff on Instagram, I think just through the grapevine, through mutual and stuff like that. And then we met last year at the Adidas party in Indy at All-Star Weekend. And then I came to the Bristol Run out there, last year. So I want to talk about the run and just that community, because that was my first introduction to really like what you guys do and the community and things like that. So like for me, after learning, these guys are a fashion brand, like, these guys have a production company, they do the media, it's like, well, dang, all right, well, what was the motivation behind having the basketball community and the run? You know what I mean? Like, talk about that, because I think that it's been incredible to see like, wherever you guys go, whether y'all in Paris, I'm like, how do they get 15 dudes to hoop in Paris? Like,
well, funny enough, like, that was just born from us wanting to hoop. And it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, pre-COVID.
We've been doing it for years. And it was really, initially, it wasn't even meant to really be a public-facing thing at first. In fact, we actually had a partnership with this company called Yonder, who locks up all the phone cases. Like, when you go to comedy shows and stuff, you probably use them. And we would close up everyone's phones, and we just got the homies together, and we would play twice a week, and it was the Bristol Run, and it was just our favorite part of the work week, and it was our time to just let go of all responsibility and kind of reset and with our community and remind ourselves of when we were kids. And that's why we locked up the phones, because it wasn't about photos.
The social media.
It wasn't about social media. It was about getting people together from all walks of life under one roof, all fully present in this space. It was a mindfulness practice for us. And it was honestly when we feel our most creative is when we're on the court. So it's just like a super healthy practice that we implemented because selfishly we just wanted to play basketball with our friends. And then we were like, this is the ethos of our brand. This is why we exist. This is the physical embodiment of Bristol Studio is this run and what it represents.
I think like runs are exclusive. That's usually how runs are. It's like who you are. I think for us, the run is exclusive we only have 15 spots. It's not intended to be exclusionary and like remove people. Right. The point is actually to bring in 15 people to connect with each other, to, create opportunities for each other. We've seen people play alongside each other, have no idea what, each other does in a respective field. And then they talk after 5 months of knowing each other. It turns out they can actually help each other. And now they know each other's character.
Exactly.
So for us, the run is obviously an excuse to hoop. It's a great way to get people together in a new city and build community. But it really is meant to be a tool that then empowers that community, even when we're not there, to connect those people through the game the same way we've been connected, and to allow them to work together and build in whatever spaces that they're in.
It's like our form of giving back in a way. Yeah. Not just because we're providing the space to play, and it's, there's not like a fee or something to come play, but it's more so because that's how the game gave to us. Playing basketball with people gave us our best friends, our family, our business opportunities, relationships. It gave us damn near everything from a young age, and it still does. And so for us, we see that as we're providing a space for that to happen for others. And we've seen it. Like he said, we've seen it over the years. So many opportunities come from people who met at our runs and connected dots, bridged the gaps. People just like our story who otherwise never would have met because they're in two completely different fields or parts of LA or parts of New York or parts of Paris. The craziest part was the Paris one. When we started doing the Paris run, because when we first went to Paris way back for Fashion Week, the first thing we did was like, all right, we got to find somewhere to hoop. And we looked up like this gym called the Hoop Factory. It was like apparently where everyone goes, and we just went there and we just played with the locals. Like there was no angle, there was no nothing. We just played because that's what we love to do. And then we made friends there. And like every time we were in Paris, we would just play. And then as the Bristol Run started becoming a thing, we're like, well, let's bring uniforms. Let's provide value to the community here in Paris. And then when we did one, like I think a year or two ago in Paris, people were connecting. And one of them hit me up after and was like, yo, I literally met like 3 people that I've been like wanting to connect with for months. And I met at the run, we met, and now we're boys. And I was like, that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
Like people who literally we don't even live there, but we're providing a space for people to come and connect. And that's ultimately, that's why we do it.
That's awesome. How about you, Jay? Do you have one that like sticks out where it's like, dang, man, like maybe you saw somebody meet and then maybe you scrolling on IG and you see them working together?
I'll give you a good example. There's a new person who started coming to our runs, and I met him by playing in another run, and his name's Sammy. And Sammy just moved to LA, just started working in an entirely new industry, like grinding, just getting after it.
Yeah.
And we had a run with Stance for World Basketball Day for our recent collab with Stance Socks. And we rented a bus. We drove everybody up to the headquarters for this like amazing private court they have at their headquarters. And on the bus ride, basically, another one of our like OGs who's been coming to the run for years.
Yeah.
He's the general manager at TDE, and they realized that they work together. Basically, they have the same client, but they had no idea for months, and they just became friends. So, I think like just seeing those moments where you see people connecting, it's so hard to connect and remove titles.
Yeah.
Because everyone is in business or in life, whatever. People are trying to look for some sort of gain or some way to get ahead and build their brand, their business, which is understandable. But when you see those genuine moments where like the title didn't matter, it was just the coincidence that they actually were like on an email together.
Yeah.
And now they had like built this rapport and relationship, you're able to really like let down any guard for either person in either situation. And I think those are moments that I don't take for granted, because I think in such a digital world that we live in, first thing people do is look at like where you worked, what's your title, who you know, whatever.
Right.
So to see those moments is always, I think, special, because it's genuinely the reason that we're here today.
100%. Now, we talked about it a little bit, but got the run, and you guys mentioned you're in Paris for Fashion Week, and you guys did a World Basketball Day documentary. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about like the three pillars of your business, because Bristol isn't just the Bristol run, or it's not just Bristol the brand, right? So like you guys have your hands in a bunch of different industries and pots. So I kind of want to give you guys the opportunity to just explain what that looks like. You know what I mean? Because I honestly think that that's one of the most impressive things about what you guys do. You know what I mean? Like most brands is kind of like, all right, your fashion brand, that's it. You know what I mean? And it's like, but you guys have a bunch of different ways that you guys are doing business. You know what I mean? So I kind of want to give you guys the opportunity to kind of touch on some of those.
Well, it happened very organically. It started with apparel. Like that was our way in. That was our, because again, the whole brand was rooted in, once we stopped playing basketball, wanted to create something and be a part of something that allowed us to still be connected to the game.
Right.
And to tell stories, our personal stories.
Yeah.
Like if you look back at a lot of our original campaigns, it's rooted in like literally our childhood stories, which are rooted in basketball. And apparel was kind of like not the easiest way, but the way that we chose to kind of get our foot in the door. And that organically in apparel, you have capsule collections. And when you release a collection, usually there's like a campaign video associated.
Yeah.
And from the early days, we always brought like a really cinematic approach to our campaign videos, really story driven, really intentional, which is now like kind of the norm in the fashion space, but back then it wasn't. And so that kind of was like, as that got more and more refined, the video storytelling became more and more impactful to our audience. And then when COVID happened and we closed our web store for 8 months, Jake actually launched a podcast for us, 94 and More, with his boy. I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah.
But the video component, we're like, well, this is a way we can still engage with our audience and give them a way to have a touch point to the brand. If they can't, since they can't go purchase the apparel, we can at least put out content that is inspiring them, and that can be their touch point during this time. And then that kind of just took off and has led to now bigger documentary, mini docs and things like that.
Yeah, and just to kind of feed off of that, the podcast was born, shout out to Vic Law, who's playing in Japan.
We had him on the pod too as well. Shout out Vic Law, man. If y'all ain't watched the episode, go tune in. That's on YouTube.
Vic and I were really close through the pandemic, and we'd talk like every day. And he would just tell me what he was going through in his first year, trying to make it in the league and going from a G League contract to a two-way contract, and then COVID and getting into the bubble and that whole situation. And I was just so blown away by the odds that, he was facing. Yeah. And then you turn on the TV and he might get 1 minute. And I thought the audacity of people to have anything to say about him based on 1 minute's performance to me was crazy. Yeah. And I felt like we needed to find a way to just illuminate people on what this is really like. And so we just figured it out, man. We figured out the recording systems and everything and started talking. And then Vic was like, hey, I can get some people on the show that I think would be interested. And next thing you know, we had Greenie on, the host of Get Up, who was like one of our first interviews. And I just remember being up at 5 a.m., doing that and just prepping my ass off with Vic. And, you know, I think that just naturally was like a place where we felt we could share stories, not just Vic's story, but also other stories that weren't just NBA players or hosts, but where people, authors, actors, musicians, business people, just show how basketball can be such a huge part of your life and you never have to lose that. Yeah. Even if you stop playing competitive basketball or organized basketball, or if you never played it, you could still have it as a huge part of your DNA and who you are. And growing up, I felt like that was not what we were told. I felt like it was like, all right, stop playing if you're not going to college or whatever. Just like there's no room for you to play.
Right.
And so it was really important from a content perspective to show people another path. Yeah. Whether that was one person or a million people, we felt that was the initiative and the goal. And then that naturally led into the short form documentaries that we're doing today, where we can really show a culture, a community outside of the one that people are used to seeing, whether that's a church of basketball in Italy, in a town of like, God, I don't even know, I think 4,000 people, you know, that's recognized by the Vatican as the patron saint of basketball. Like, you're not going to know about that unless we show it to you.
Right.
And so that was something that we felt was very important, and just to continue to find stories like that. But again, born from that DNA of just, we got to show people that basketball isn't just this thing that lives on the court or in the NBA or overseas. It's something that lives within people all around the world who just love and consume it as much as they can.
And it happened, again, very organically. I mean, the apparel was our storytelling vice for a long time because we wanted to bring a more elevated approach to basketball in general. Yeah. You know, at that time, it was believed that, like, the basketball consumer only liked, like, super baggy shorts and didn't really care about quality and had bright, loud colors and graphics. Or was a different
consumer than the fashion consumer.
Yeah, they separated the two. But as we knew, because we were that consumer, it's like, no, it's very much one. And so Bristol Studio represented and still represents like a elevated apparel approach from a basketball lens. So it's like, again, not meant like these pants, for instance, you know, you can see the basketball influence, but it's not in your face.
Right.
And that was something that that the brand was born on. And so through the apparel, again, that's one touch point, is the message that we tell. And then going into the content, it's the same thing. It's like, you don't have to go to the NBA to still, you know, express your love for the game or to have an impact in the basketball space. Like David Hollander is a perfect example of that. He's, you know, basketball Jesus. So it's that's kind of how these things were all born, very organically. And the reason is because it's who we are. You know, to us, this isn't just an opportunity that we see like dollar signs and we're trying to make the most of it. Like, no, this is genuinely who we are. Like behind the curtains, behind the scenes, this is what we love, and this is the stories we love to tell through design, through content, you know, and through community globally. And we've been able to do that for, you know, a long time.
Now,
So wait, are these the pants? Are these Bristol pants right now? I just see y'all wearing the same joints.
These are our workwear pants,
Yeah, so these are, you know, one of our best examples of kind of using elements of the game.
The half court, the
three, and then like you got the free throw line right here.
There goes the mic.
So you know it's
everything we're wearing is Bristol.
Word.
So.
It's you know, taking that approach, and it's less in your face, more rooted in like the textures and the actual design and
the materials.
You know, we're currently developing like a new collection, which will be the first one actually in a couple years. So we're excited about that to continue to expand upon that storytelling from that angle. But the difference is now, you know, we have that, but we also have our storytelling from the media and the content, and then our communities around the world. So it's been really beautiful to see the organic growth of it all. And now, you know, our focus is continuing to just build each of those categories in a way that is scalable.
100%. Hey, man, should I go shop that merch, man? Y'all see the drip, you know what I mean? Bristol from head to toe,
Bristol-studio.com.
Yeah. Go tap in right now. But I want to ask you guys, because I feel like for me, right, and again, I look at you guys, and I'm like, bro, it's two of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how, like, And again, I'm trying to figure out how to build out all facts. I know there's a huge like financial burden when it comes to like funding these projects.
Yeah.
Especially if we're gonna talk about like production. You're gonna talk about a mini doc. Let's just talk about cameras. You know what I mean? Before you talk about anything else, that's gonna run you a certain amount of bread.
Man, let me tell you, that is, I don't even know how to explain really how that comes about, because I don't want to just say luck, because we've cultivated such amazing relationships over the years with such talented individuals, and some of our closest friends are just unbelievably gifted. Yeah. And what we did was we are able to create an opportunity. We're able to say, look, we have access. We've built ourselves up to a point where we're able to get access to certain things. And, you know, we might not have a budget, but we have the access. And so luckily, like I said, we have unbelievably talented friends that we've worked with over the years that are like, you know what, that's a dope story. And I know you might not have a budget to like go out there and do it, but let's do it. And we'll literally just do whatever we if we need to get a flight and crash on somebody's couch, then that's what we're doing. All we need to do is get there, and then we have the equipment we need, and we shoot, and then we just piece it all together. It's really guerrilla style how we pull off a lot of these pieces.
Yeah. I mean, I think from the doc side, absolutely. I think from the fashion side, you know, obviously we sell product. So selling product, you know, creates some capital that we're able then to reinvest into new product. Yeah. Working with partnerships allows us additional capital to then reinvest in the core business, right? So it's kind of this like fluid thing that's kind of ever evolving, and we kind of take a look at, you know, what we need to do and where we need to put the money in. That's how we approach it. But again, we've learned from being so scrappy over the years how to be careful and how to maximize things. And again, without some amazing friends, we're not even in those positions. And we've had many people who've done, you know, worked with us on a project, and it was like their way to, you know, maybe get into an industry, and then the next partnership we were able to bring them in. Right. And then that opens up more opportunities on their side or whatever.
And that's kind of to your point about earlier what you said about like, you know, providing, not gatekeeping. Yeah. We're the first people to be like, oh yeah, these are the guys, like use them, blah, 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 like connect people, because we've seen, you know, that can change lives. And to Jake's point, like when it comes to the big, you know, the documentary and those kind of content pieces, like that's where that really guerrilla style, like scrappiness comes from. But as far, you know, we've built up enough of an apparel business to where we can attract partnerships that allow us to reinvest. And I think it's finding that balance on how we can just budget everything to put it all together. Like for you, for instance, like how do you view kind of like what you want to build and the pieces that you feel you need to take your stuff to the next level?
Yeah, I think first I think production is like an investment. You know what I mean? When it comes to even like getting a studio like this
for sure,
to have a professional setup and cameras and things like that is like an investment. You know what I mean? Number one. Number two, when it comes to, I like just the idea of being able to attach like merch and things like that. So obviously you can do like drop shipping and stuff, but it doesn't cost too much money. But I think there's an overhead as far as like marketing it the right way. Like if you, like you mentioned, you're gonna do a campaign video, right? I got the merch, I need the video. I think, you know, you want to look a certain way.
For sure.
So having to invest in like, you know, an actual shoot camera, or you want to have, I know you guys have a model as well. You know,
right.
Like, all that stuff is an investment. So I'm trying to figure out how I can get the capital to be able to kind of pour into that aspect. Because I feel like right now it's kind of, I feel like come out of your own pocket. You know what I mean? So I think I'm gonna ask a question, I guess is for me, but I'm sure the viewers are kind of one of the same thing. It's like if you're trying to start that process, right? Like where do you start as far as, okay, boom, I have a project. You know what I mean? If I'm not trying to necessarily come out of my own pocket to get it off the ground, what have you guys been able to like leverage or do to be able to maybe get investors or I guess bring it to life?
Well, I think for any entrepreneur early on that's not trying to come out of pocket, it's kind of the basics, right? Is like you have that business plan and a proven model that you believe in and that you stand by. Yeah. And, you know, especially nowadays, there's so many, you know, like small business loan opportunities from banks, lines of credit. Like there are ways that you can go around it. Grants, those things work. But also, you know, your network, that's a big part of it as well. You know, I've heard crazy stories of people just putting themselves in positions to be in the right rooms. When they're in those rooms, they strike up a conversation with the right person. Yeah. They ask them what they do or what they want to do. Next thing you know, and I'm not exaggerating, next thing you know, they're getting an $8 million wire the next day from that person because they believe in what they told them they're doing. So it's a combination of being prepared, first of all, on your end, having all your ducks in a row and understanding what you actually need and what you actually want and how you're going to grow it and use those funds, and then doing everything you can to see what your resources you have available to you.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's the hard thing is you do have to spend a little bit of your own money.
Yeah.
If you believe in yourself and your idea.
Of course.
And obviously you have to be careful. You don't want to put yourself in a bad spot. But we always talk about proof of concept, which I think is something that just gets overused.
Yeah.
But I can think of so many things that we've done and achieved today where we were told no by a partner or somebody.
Right.
And then it was, okay, it's a roadblock, but we're not going to stop. We're going to go around it. So how do we get around it? And it's like, maybe finding somebody that's earlier in their career or someone that just pivoted from a different career that just wants to work and wants to build a portfolio. And it's like, okay, cool. This is what we have to offer. Does this work for you? Sometimes it's credit. Sometimes it is capital. Whatever it is, you find that middle ground and you're able to kind of build this like nimble, all-star team.
Yeah.
And then you proof of concept. Like you actually show people you're not just talking about it. There's so many people talking about their ideas.
Yeah.
You show people you can actually execute with limited capital.
Yep.
And then you show them what's possible with capital. And I think that makes those conversations easier because I can tell you a million times we were told we're not an apparel business. We were told we're not a content business. We're not, who are we to host global runs? Like you're no one is going to just say, yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're not going to just be like,
yeah,
oh,
you
cool
are.
idea.
You're exactly what you
Here's
say
the
you
red
are.
carpet.
Like, you got to show them you are what you say you are. And I think that's one of the things that we've definitely learned over years of doing this. Like every time.
You
cool,
kind
we'll
of,
show you.
at a certain point, there's no real way around the risk, and I'm speaking from experience. Like I can show you years of missed payments and the email from Wells Fargo, you're in the negative. It was at a certain point I just like tuned it out and I was like, the IRS is gonna have to whoop me.
You got to, yeah.
Like they're just gonna have to whoop me.
Straight up.
Please, IRS, if you see this, don't whoop him.
I'm almost like where I need to be with them, but it's at a certain point, as much as we want to sugarcoat it, and I'm sure, look, maybe that's just our experience. Maybe there is a better way to do it. But from our experience, we've had to put our money where our mouth is time and time and time again to show people that what we're doing is real. And it has worked for us because we've had to take that risk. We've had to take that leap. But it's even more important to surround yourself with people who encourage your dreams and encourage your belief. Because you need that, because if that little negative energy, if it creeps in, it's an infection and it can break down your whole operation. So we encourage each other to take risks and go for it. Like, fuck it. If they're not going to believe in it and give us a budget for this, we'll just figure out a way to do it ourselves. And then sure enough, next time around, they're like, oh, that was so dope. How can we be a part of that? So, in your case, I'm not telling you to be reckless and irresponsible, but, you might have to at some point.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on how bad you want it.
Yeah. For sure. Now, another thing that I've loved that you guys do, man, is like you guys have a plethora of partnerships with a bunch of different brands that you guys have been able to work with. And we'll get into kind of some of those specifics in a little bit. But before we get there, I want to ask you, Jake, I know you talked about doing a lot of the back end and things like that. Mm-hmm. Like, what goes into... Like, walk me through, like, let's say today, and we're just going to give a mock scenario, right? Like, let's say you're Bristol Studios, right, and you want to work with, let's say, I don't know, we'll say Anta, for example, or whatever. I know you guys do work, whatever, but a model company, right?
But
how would you go about securing a partnership? Like, what does that actually look like for you guys as a company, and what ways do you kind of, I guess, whether it's a pitch or whatever, that you can kind of secure these type of partnerships?
Yeah, so I think the way that we look at partnerships, I can look at it two ways. There's the way we used to do it, like when we were kind of coming up, which I think is probably more helpful, and I can give the perspective of where we're at today. But coming up, it's we talked about it. We have an idea. We believe in this idea. You basically pitch them. You're like, I have this great concept. This is how it comes to life. This is what I need. Yeah. And so at first, it's a lot of that. I think at the same time, it's like you have to do your own thing. You have to differentiate. You have to position yourself. Whereas a partner needs you. You're not always going to the partner. They're like, if we don't come to you, we're missing out. So you create that feeling with a partner. And that's just by doing your own thing head down. But I think as far as then how did we engage in those conversations, it was you go to the events, you meet somebody, they introduce you to somebody else. having those ideas, having those concepts and ways that you can, create something with someone, how you can collaborate is really important. So it's a lot of pitching, elevator pitches at a party, an event, an email, sometimes a cold email.
At the end of the day, well, the cold email, believe it or not, it works if you shoot it out enough. But people really underestimate the power of relationships, which is why, a lot of the times, and we had to kind of rework our brains early on when we were like, oh man, like it's expensive to get that flight to New York. It's expensive to get that flight to Paris. Like, how is it worth it? Is it actually worth it? And early on, I was always like, yes, without hesitation, yes, because I know when I'm there, I know what I'm going to do, the rooms I'm going to get in, and the people I'm going to meet, and how to navigate and maneuver in a room. So, like that, the relationships alone have been the reason for probably 90% of like the big partnerships that we've had, and especially the small ones, because if you're around enough and you meet enough people, especially in this industry, it's not a huge
it's a small industry.
And there's a lot of turnover. People might be here and then they go there and then they go there, they bounce around. So if you're around enough and you're, again, a person of high character and people fuck with you and you're doing the right thing, and like he said, doing your own thing, you're not just out at everything doing a bunch of nothing, but you're still doing your own thing, but you're still finding a way to be where you need to be creating the right relationships. That it happens over time.
People pay attention, and they can see when you're just hustling, trying to do nothing, or you're actually trying to build something. And when you're building something, it's their job, honestly, in those positions of collaborations and partnerships, to see like who's next or who's on the rise or who's reaching an audience in a way that we want to be reaching it, right? So I think that it's twofold. You got to be, like we talked about, you got to do your own thing, and you got to have something to say when you come to that table that differentiates how that partnership makes sense. And you can't cheat that. You got to be in the room a lot of times. You got to show people that you can get into that room and that you know what to do when you're in that room. And that just gives people that confidence of, okay, I can work with this person. Like, they're easy to be around. They know people I know. It eases their sense of, who is this person? I don't know them. I don't have a relationship with them. What are they going to be like if I try to work with them on a project? So those flights MAASAI's talking about, they're honestly probably the most important part of just taking that risk and putting yourself in rooms where you can speak on your behalf.
It really is. I can't stress how these days you can't just be in your bedroom and expect shit to shake. Like, you need to be outside. Not outside in the sense
like in the club.
Yeah, like that.
Outside. Maybe sometimes.
I can't remember the last time I went outside just like for a good time. It's got to be intentional. And that's just the world we live in at the end of the day. And you can DM and that works too. Like, do it all. Like, if it's your dream, it's no one else's responsibility to make it a reality. Like, if you really want it and you think DMing and cold emails is enough, then
you gotta do it.
Do that however much you want. But, I'm just saying from experience, I've found being there in person can go a very long way.
I've even experienced that a little bit, like in my own experience with like All Facts, because this is something that like I've been kind of trying to build overseas. So I was like, I only had the option to kind of hop into DMs when I was doing the podcast over Zoom, I would say like 70% of the guests were people who I just DM'd, and like maybe they might see my Instagram and be like, oh, this person's a mutual, all right, cool, I'll come on the pod, whatever case may be. But I've seen that like going to All-Star Weekend last year and then coming to All-Star Weekend this year, it's like, oh, I saw you last year. Oh, I seen him again this year. All right, like now it's like when they say, oh, what's good, bro? Like it's love now. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, this is a random person behind a random IG page. It's like, oh, this is like a real person who, they might see me at like an event. Like, damn, like, all right, well, if he can get in this one, he must know somebody, and now you have a little bit more social currency. You know what I mean? I've I guess seeing the fruits of that, more so. And it hasn't necessarily been fruits as far as like dollars, but like social currency, like reputation.
And it will lead to something. I mean, that's the thing. You can't expect it to lead to anything, but the more you do it, the more it will lead to something
the more the
that you didn't even have
are.
planned, right? Like, to your point, I remember the first All-Star Weekend we went to. I remember like you're asking everybody, where's the event, where's the flyer, where's whatever. Just put me on the list. Are we good? Like,
we were outside of the loop.
But it's a decision you make. You refuse to accept that like, oh, this party's happening, I'm not going, or I won't meet the people. You refuse. You find a way around it, and the next thing you know, you're at all the events. And I think when we linked up at coffee, we talked about that. I think that was one of the things that we were adamant about when you're like, I want to get into the space. How do I grow it? We're like, you just got to show up first and foremost to even be in the conversation.
I think that's half the battle, man. So if y'all watching this, man, you know what I mean? Catch that flight. You know what I mean? Do what you gotta do,
For real,
man.
people ask us all the time. They're like, what? Like, someone literally hit us up before San Fran All-Star and was like, oh, like, something fell through that I thought was going to happen. Like, I don't know if I should come. Like, should I get a flight? And, like, without hesitation, I'm always like, yes, you should still be there.
Yeah.
Like, you should still go.
Yeah.
Because that's half the battle.
You never know what can happen.
You don't even give yourself
in
a chance if you're
situation,
not there.
100%. So while we're talking about, like, partnerships, man, I want to talk about, you know, you guys had a major partnership recently. You guys obviously had the collab with the NBA and dropped a bunch of merch with a bunch of teams, man, and that was incredible to see. First of all, like, and you guys did install that Complex Con, and y'all were everywhere with it, man.
Yeah.
So just talk about how you guys were able to, number one, bring that to life, like what that looked like and making that happen, and then I guess also just, you know.
Yeah.
That's the perfect segue. Relationships. So that one in particular, obviously the NBA and NBA 2K have been on our vision board since day one of the brand. Like that as a basketball lifestyle brand, that's the pinnacle. And at All-Star in Utah, a buddy of ours had a collaboration with the NBA.
Yep.
And, you know, we pulled up, checked it out, was like, oh, this is so dope, man. Like, who is the person? And he was like,
MAASAI literally did, like, animated, like, who is the person? Like, he couldn't believe it. He's like, I need to figure this out.
Like, who's the person?
Who do I need to talk
enough
to?
is enough.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I'm not doing this anymore. Who is the person?
This is, just
enough of the run around.
sometimes
Who do I need to talk to?
you do the run around long enough, you go a little crazy. So I was just like, who's the person?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, this is the person. Here, I'll connect you.
Yeah.
And then we end up getting on the call with the NBA, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, like, we know who you guys are. Like, how have we not done this sooner? I'm like, you tell me.
Right.
You know, so it was literally a one relationship away. Then they had known about us. They had been watching us.
Yeah.
But it took a colleague of ours to connect us in order for them to connect the dots in a real way. And then it came
and then
to life.
from there it was 2 years
Same
of
thing happened
sampling,
with
designing
2K.
everything till it actually, you know, came out, and then we shot the campaign. Pretty quickly had to turn that around, and then it launched, and we, you know, made the most of it. Had the NBA store activation in New York, which was another dream for us as kids who grew up. Like, I didn't even go to the NBA store as a kid, but I remember, like, dreaming of it.
Yeah.
And so to have an event there was awesome. But to that point, you know, we had to have something to say once we got to the NBA.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to connect you with the partner or just give you a partnership if you don't have something to say.
It's the NBA.
Right. So we had to do a lot of work as far as, like, what's our vision, what's our plan, like, why do we need to have product? Like, why does the NBA need to work with us?
Right.
So, you know, to that point, like, it's the relationships, it's the ideas, and then it's the actual, okay, now we have to execute it, which takes, like, 2 years. So by the time you're actually seeing it, we've already designed it, we've already gone through all of it. Like, we're just ready to, you know, get it out in
for the
world
to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing that came to my mind when you guys were saying that, it just brought me back to what I said previously. Like, you were talking about, like, okay, boom, you get to connect, right, at the NBA, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, we seen your stuff. Like, why haven't we been working with y'all? But it's like, sometimes, like, it takes that middle person to kind of, like, be like, hey, yo, these are people y'all got to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to connect the dots. It's like, okay, well, I might have seen you, but it's like, I already know what they got going on.
Right.
But if we have somebody that I've worked with that's stamping you and that can validate you because they know you and they've connected with you, it just gives you that, boom, all right, cool. You know what I mean? A lot of times, that's all it takes. Is
Literally.
Like, you could have great work and have an amazing product, but if they can't be like, you know what, like, I've seen you in these rooms, or I know somebody that can validate you or vouch for you, then it's like, it may not ever come to fruition. So I think that was the first thing that came to my mind. It's like, oh, boom. And now it's like, we see the collection that came to fruition, but you guys were already doing amazing work. You guys were already building this incredible brand, but all you needed was that connection, that like, you know, that somebody to just be the ignition to make it happen.
So it's like just staying ready. It's like, if you stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
You know, stay ready for the opportunity when the opportunity comes. What do they say? Like, luck is just when hard work or preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
Like,
Something
it's like,
that.
oh, you got so
Something like
lucky.
that.
But it's like, no,
Someone
you
can
stayed prepared, and then an opportunity came and you were prepared for the opportunity.
I think the other thing that, like, doesn't get talked about enough, a lot of it is like, oh, the celebration, it's the final event, but it's like the execution is the part of this that often doesn't get the same attention. Like, the actual work you have to do, so getting the partnership is great. That's just the start. Like the reward for that is the work.
Yeah.
And you have to do the work.
Right.
Like no one else is going to do the work. So
talk about that though. Like what was the work like bringing that process?
I mean, it's like I said, it's like 2 years. You know, it's 2 years of like you design the collection, you're sourcing everything, sampling it, then you're tweaking designs, and you're getting everything approved, and you're actually going into production, and then you're figuring out the marketing budgets, and then you're figuring out, okay, based on what I have now, what can I bring to life? So then you're working with a team there to bring that to life the best way possible. Yeah. Then you're working on the release strategy. Then you're working on activations.
But then when you're dealing with an entity like the NBA, they have a calendar that they have to stick to. So now you're also working with timelines that are completely out of your control, and you just have to make it work.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like sometimes it's realistic, sometimes it's not, but it don't matter. That's what it is. Yeah. And so navigating all of that is the reward, like Jay said, of getting the partnership. And then when it's announced to the world, that's when everyone's like, oh, dope, like cool, like so lucky.
Makes sense. Like you guys in the NBA, makes sense. We're like, yes,
yes, it does make sense.
For sure.
Get used to it. So like then and we just keep pressing forward.
Yeah.
And that to us, we'll never take that for granted. Like that was a lifelong dream.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're still just scratching the surface of what's possible and where we want to go. So
100%. Now that that's released, like, what has been your, I guess, favorite part? Or like, what has it been like, I guess, looking at it from the other side now that it's done and like, people can shop it in stores and like, what has that been like?
Yeah. I tried. We don't reflect a lot. And,
we don't reflect enough.
There's been some flowers on this that haven't been given out ever. So for me, that was a moment where I tried to take a second and think like, all right, what hit about this? Was it seeing people buying it? That, that's cool. People wearing it. That's cool. For me, it was really doing the NBA store activation because I really meant, like, I used to dream of the NBA store, like just going in there to look at the jerseys when I was a kid. So
it was like Disneyland.
Yeah, so standing in there and being like, our stuff is everywhere. We're having this moment. Like, that was a moment where I was like, okay, this is cool. And then also my dad is 84. And so a huge part of the inspiration, at least on my side, and I know we came together on it, was for the campaign was we're sitting in a living room, and it's a kid in a living room, and then watching, the greats and these dynasties and trying to emulate that on the court, and it's staying with them as they grow older through life. And for me, like, I was that kid. Like, I remember my relationship with the NBA with my dad, started because he was older. Like, it was watching the Showtime Lakers, and I would lay on the carpet with the dogs, and my dad would scream at the TV.
That's literally identical with me and my grandma.
Yeah, and like
she would just yell at Kobe.
And like that was like when we had the partnership, we both like honestly had the same idea and like came together on it, and it was like, this is the story we need to tell, because for me, that is such a deep connection that I have to my dad.
Yeah.
It's the Lakers. It's the NBA, but like, the Lakers and falling in love with that era and the feeling of it, and it echoing to today, that we both still have that connection. We'll call each other after a game. We'll talk about, whatever. Like, I can't ask for a better reward than that. And then seeing him wearing it every day, he doesn't take it off.
Man.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is the reward. Again, the work is a reward, but if I'm really looking at what makes me the most proud of it, it's probably that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
For me, I think it's just the fact that we did it. Like Jake said, there were so many moments over the last decade where like we could have threw in the towel. We could have, gave up, went and did what everyone in our family probably has always wanted us to do, and like go do something safe or whatever it is. But to have a dream, and again, it's not like we're sitting here like at the top of the mountain and like we made it or something, but we are trying to be better about acknowledging the small wins. And I don't think that's a small win. That's a fucking big deal to us. So the fact that we had that on our vision board and made it happen is just like all the fuel I need to keep going. It's I don't need much, but like those moments, those small wins, like, are the little reminders that anything is possible, and that every vision and dream that I have in my head is going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Just as long as we do what we've been doing, which is putting up one foot in front of the other.
100%. I want to ask you guys, man, like, because you talked about the merch, right? And the collaboration with the NBA, right? But then you mentioned like the story and the kid in front of the TV and like telling that story. And I think a lot of times people miss that like with every piece of merch or everything that you do, there needs to be a story behind it. And storytelling drives everything, right? Whether it's merch, whether it's a movie, this podcast right now is a form of storytelling. Like, talk about the importance of stories. You mentioned even the merch, the pants, right? The basketball court. Like, so just talk about how you guys have interwoven storytelling into the fashion, into the production, into everything that you guys done and do, and then why that's so important. You know
For
what I mean?
us, it has always been about creating a feeling. Whenever we made a product or made a piece of content or shot a campaign video for a release or a collection or had even a community event, which is why we cap it at 15 and we try to make it as curated as possible, curate the energy. It's the feeling. We want to make sure that when you wear our products or you look at the design, it reminds you of a moment in time of where your connection to basketball in the purest way. And then when you watch our campaign videos, like Jake just said, we want you to watch that campaign video and remember your connection to those dynasties growing up and how that brought you closer to your family and your community, whatever it was. We want to invoke emotion. We're never just putting something out just to do it. We want to make sure that, because again, to your point, especially now where something is in front of someone's face for 2 seconds, you could work for 10 years on something and it's going to pop up for 2 seconds. It's going to swipe up. So it's just like, if we're contributing to the stuff that's in the world, more apparel, more products, we want to make sure it's there for a reason. More content. We want to make sure that it's content and it's products and it's experiences that will actually potentially have an impact on even one person. And we've seen that happen, and to us, that's why we do it. And that's, to us, we think that's what's so important about storytelling, is it actually creates a reason for your product to exist, other than making money.
And to piggyback on that, I have to really quickly shout out, Atre Fish, Chris, and Alex. They've been incredible partners on the content side. We've worked with them for years, and they are the ones who brought that NBA, campaign to life. And working with them is always amazing, and they just see our vision and vice versa so clearly. So having partners like that, as we've talked about, help make that a bit easier. And then, for me, outside of the product and intentional storytelling, is like, I remember why I fell in love with product and the products I fall in love with. And it was emotional. I remember the time and place. I remember specifically getting the Kobe 5 US, like Team USAs. I remember walking into Nike Town, right around the corner from here, and seeing them on the shelves and seeing like all the mannequins with like all the Team USA gear and feeling like I get to touch that like energy, that feeling, that like love of the game, and being able to walk out with that, right? Like that was everything. And to me, there was so much more story there, and the product was tied to it, and then I was able to actually take it home. So I think for us, like, not just being able to take the product home, it has to have that same feeling.
Like that campaign, the Air Force One campaign where they were wearing the all white jumpsuits. It was like white and gold, and they were on the runway. I had that on my wall as a kid, and then when you go into the Nike Town, it was like it was there as well. You felt like you were a part of it.
It's personal, it's emotional. Like buying product or like you want it to be an emotional process. You want it to be something that you think about. And I think for us, like that's how we want to participate in that space.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember like as a kid, like it's crazy how you get older and you think about these like campaigns that stick out to you as a kid, man.
But knowing this side of it, it's like, oh, there was a marketing team.
There was so much going on, and it worked.
Man, I remember that like even like something small, bro. Well, not small, but like wasn't necessarily tied to merch, but the Got Milk campaign. I remember with the milk mustache, and like you had all the athletes, Shaq and like Serena Williams might do one, like. And I'm like, I got to drink. I don't even like milk, but
I just want to be involved. He's like,
it worked. That worked on you.
OD, I'm like, I gotta get a milk mustache or something, man. Like, it was crazy, man. I think it's just so cool to be on this side of it now and just seeing like how that all comes together, because I think a lot of people miss that and they just try to have a product or a brand, but it's like there's no story behind it. There's no emotional connection there. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
I definitely appreciate you guys shedding light on that. You know what I mean? I wanted to ask you guys, like, when it comes to, I guess, you two and just Bristol as a whole, like, if you could say, like, all right, this is where we want Bristol to be, 10 years now or 5 years now, like, what would that look like for each of you?
Well, I mean, we talk about this a lot when we can, because a lot of times we're just focused on the next day.
Yeah.
But that pie in the sky vision for us is to create an entity that people resonate with. When they think of basketball, they think of Bristol. We want to create some place where if you're someone who, you don't have to be a basketball player, but But if you appreciate the game and you have a connection to the game in any kind of way, then you come to us to experience it, whether it's apparel, if you want something you can play in, something you can go to fashion weekend, or something you can go to church in, or whatever it is, and you want to feel that connection to the game when you're there, then that's what Bristol Studio represents. It's for those people out there. And if you can't do that, then you're being inspired by the content we're putting out. And if you can't watch the content, you're being inspired by the people in our communities when you're coming to our events. So really just creating that a global presence for basketball lovers.
And really, as he said, like scaling that. There's additional levels that we have in mind that we want to take that to. So really just taking that to the highest level possible. I think separately for me, and I think MAASAI feels the same way, like I want us to build that, and not only for us and for our success, but for the community, but also for the next generation of people who want to be in the sports space or the fashion space or whatever the space is. Because, growing up, I remember, that was not, it was you were an agent if you wanted to be in the sports world, you worked for a team or you played or whatever. Like, it was very limited as far as, like, what the imagination was for what you can do in these spaces. And for us to be able to, not make it to the NBA, but make it to the NBA. To not have a, not be endorsed by a sneaker company, but to have a shoe deal. To do all these things and show people it's possible. It doesn't need to be done how everyone tells you it's done. We're a living, breathing example of it. And I think for us to be able to scale it, to make it global, to have that high of an impact, can use that as a literal example for the next generation to look to and be like, all right, I want to make my own version of that, or I want to disrupt in this way.
And that's exactly, like we said, that's the ethos of what we were doing on Bristol Avenue, was using the game as a way that ended up bringing us together and ended up creating this opportunity, which, who knows the countless people that we hope to impact on this journey. And that is the ultimate vision in the sky, and what that looks like, however that manifests. Like, obviously we have some more tangible examples in our head of what that looks like, but we're excited to just keep putting one foot in front of the other until it becomes more and more real.
I think you guys just mentioned, Jake just mentioned something that I think really like resonated with me a lot, and you talked about it as well, MAASAI, but this idea of like showing kids and showing athletes that like you don't have to make it to the NBA to make it to the NBA. You know what I mean? And that might have went over some of y'all heads. I'm going to break it down a little bit. I feel like as an athlete myself, I'm talking, from personal experience. Like as a kid, it's like you always feel like I got to make it to the league. Like if I don't make it to the league, that I failed. You know what I mean? And me and Trey talk about this all the time, bro, because Trey was on a journey with content. Like his dad was in the NBA. He had this whole series. I'm trying to make it to the league and going through the G League and Summer League. And then he went overseas, tears his Achilles, and it's like, dang, like basketball career is over. Well, did I fail? And here he is, a couple years later, he's working with the NBA.
Right.
Like he's at, the NBA Creator Cup All-Star Weekend, and it's like, bro, like you made it to the league. We've had interviews on this couch. Like we've had my guy Jamad and Doobie. If you guys are hearing this, you guys have heard those episodes as well. But they're actors, you know what I mean? But they got flown in to be Shep on 2K, and they're like the antagonist and the protagonist and my player, you know what I mean? And MP, and it's like he made it to the league. You know what I mean? My twin brother, Aaron, like he, we went to college and, he ended up going overseas and playing, but like now he's coaching in the NBA for the Cavaliers and got to coach All-Star Weekend. It's like, bro, you made it to the league. You know what I mean? I think that all this goes to say, bro, it's like for that young athlete out there, it's like, don't feel like you got to make it to the league to put on an NBA jersey to feel like you made it. It's like there's so many different ways to make it to the league. Y'all made it to the league. You know what I mean? You have a collection with the NBA, like that's in the NBA store. Like you made it to the league. And I feel like that's incredible.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's about your dream, right? Like all of our dream was to go to the NBA at one point. But it's now in retrospect, I'm living my dream now. And even though I'm still, I'm not exactly necessarily where I want to be in life, I'm still got a ways to go and we'll get there. But the process, I love every bit of it. And as long as you're loving your day to day, then you're living a dream, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think too on the W side as well, right? Like I think that's important too. Like the NBA and the W side, as the WNBA keeps growing and expanding and seeing so much growth, I think it's important to show everybody, right? Show everybody what's possible and change the narrative that like even as that grows and becomes maybe, the salaries become closer to the NBA salaries, like still show the opportunity as you're doing that. And I think that gives people a well-rounded sense of like what they're committing their life to. It's not just a failure if you don't get that one end result, but you can still have other results happen that are successful.
But it's rooted in exposure. At the end of the day, you don't know what you don't see.
Yeah.
And again, that's what Jake was saying about like what we are building is something so that people can see that there are other options.
Right.
You know, as kids, we only thought it was one option.
Facts.
You know, and
Yeah.
so and a lot of kids out there, especially in other types of communities, they're told that there's only one option.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't see what you don't know. So
Right.
we want to create something that can show people like, hey, yeah, basketball, keep the main thing for sure, if that's your dream. But guess what? If you like clothes, there's a whole world over here where you can still be connected to the thing you love and do this too. Or if you like music, you can still like, you know, there are so many paths to create a life of your dreams.
Yeah.
You just have to stay follow. I call it like your intuition is like a compass.
Yeah.
Follow the excitement. Use your excitement as your compass in life.
Yeah.
If you think about something that gets you excited, go in that direction. Even if it's a little scary or if it's a little risky, you know, that's the only thing that I have really is my intuition, and that's gotten me to where I'm at today. And I don't plan on changing that anytime soon.
Yeah. Nah, that's real, man. I thought just, you know, to any kid out there, boy or girl, man, whatever it is, you're NBA, you're WNBA, you're NFL, you're a football kid trying to make it to the league, man, like, shoot for that. Strive for that. You know what I mean? Like, attack every day. Like, that's your only option. But understand that, like, you can work so hard and you might not make it there, but you're going to land on a cloud that is going to give you something that you never could have imagined. You know what I mean? And I feel like that was always my goal, to make it to the NBA. And I might not have made it to the NBA, but I'm getting ready to go into my 5th year playing overseas and seeing the world and traveling and having experiences that I would have never thought I would have had.
Priceless.
You know what I mean? And it's like being able to sit across from people like you guys and have conversations and like be a hooper and be a creator, and like it's been everything that I could have ever imagined as a kid. You know what I mean? So I think that was inspiring to hear. You know, that it's like I think a lot of more people need to hear that. You know what I mean? A lot more young people need to hear that. It's like you didn't fail if you didn't make it to the league, if you didn't make it to the WNBA, if you didn't make it to the NFL. It's like there's so many incredible things that you can do to still be in the league or still be around the game.
Yeah.
You know, and be a huge part of it. So I hope that that's something that conveys to kids, man.
I mean, you're a perfect example. When we last talked,
yeah.
when we first talked, the vibe you were giving was like as if it had to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And I just remember us being like, do it all. Like you can do it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're doing now. And you know, I'm excited to see that continue to unfold and where you take it, because as long as you don't quit, you can take it to the highest level. There's no limit to how far you can take it. The limit is going to be based upon your threshold for suffering.
Facts.
So as long as you don't give up, there is a chance for your dreams to become a reality.
Yeah. Nah, on that note, I give you flowers too, man, because I feel like I've told this story to like my friends and stuff like that. I mentioned it to you at All-Star Weekend, but I gotta tell the people since you on the couch here, man. I think I've talked a lot about just my journey, you know what I mean, as far as like just hoops and like trying to figure out when to exit and when to like start that next phase of life, because you don't want to feel like you're holding on for too long. I feel like I love basketball. I love basketball, but I never wanted to be a person who was like, oh, like you have to play basketball. Like you have basketball and nothing else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, man, I have a lot of other things that I'm interested in that I feel like I'm pretty good at that I can go into. You know what I mean? So it's always hard like walking that tightrope. And I came to the Bristol runs, you know what I mean, this year in LA, and it was crazy because I went through this whole like journey of like, all right, I came back from Australia. I'm like, I'm for sure going back to Australia. I thought my club was gonna offer me back. I had a great exit meeting. I'm like, oh, bet, like send the contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you get home and you're like waiting for it to come through. You're waiting. Oh, September. Oh, October. Nothing.
Yeah.
December, I'm still a free agent. I'm like, dang. Then I get the job, you know, with running back. You know what I mean? Like, that's my first industry job, man. I'm like doing something that is along the lines of what I want to do. I'm around the game. I'm, you know, working with players I used to watch on TV. This is great. Yeah, maybe it's time to hang it up. You know what I mean? And it's like I got in that mindset. I didn't touch a basketball for like a month, more than a month. I was like, man, I guess it's time. You know what I mean? And bro, I'll never forget, like, I came into the Bristol run one day, one Saturday morning out here in Santa Monica, and it was a pretty good day. You know, I was making some shots, and bro, I'm on the sideline of the court. And Masai's like, yo, bro, like, I I used to hooping. I'm like, nah, man, you know, I got this job. Like, I feel like I'm about to just, you know, get into the next phase of my life. You know what I mean? I think it's that time.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, you can still hoop. Like, what you mean? Like, and like, you might not have necessarily that verbatim, but that was the tone. You like, well, it was like, man, you tripping. Like, what you mean?
I said, if somebody is willing to pay you to play basketball, then that's exactly what you need to be doing.
Facts.
I was like, you're wilding.
Literally. And I was like, oh, dang. Like, it was crazy, bro, because I feel like small moments like that, like, it resonates with you.
For
like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Somebody can say something to you in one moment, and it just like, something just clicks in your head. I'm like, dang, bro, like, I'm still healthy enough to where I can play. God has blessed me with, I haven't had like a major injury, knock on wood, you know what I mean? And it's like, man, and I'm like, damn, man, like, maybe I should give this another look. You know what I mean? It's like, now here I am getting ready to go back to Australia, and I have my job in the industry that I get to keep and work remotely, and it's like, I can do both. You know what I mean? And I feel like, who knows if I would have even explored going back to overseas if you would never say that to me in the gym that day. You know what I mean? So I think that's just...
I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know. But I just wanted to highlight that, man, because I feel like it was such a key, I guess, point in my journey. You know what I mean? I need to hear that. And I think we all have these moments where, like, somebody could whisper something to you, and you might never know the impact that could have on you, that it could just resonate, man. And so thank you for that. You know what I mean? I gotta give you your flowers.
Anytime,
for that,
man.
You know
Anytime.
for sure. But I definitely want to ask you guys too, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't talk about, the World Basketball Day that you guys did in New York, because that was obviously another huge thing. The mini doc and going to New York and having the premiere out there and everything. Like, talk about that experience, because I feel like that was another. I think it's cool that you guys always shine light on like history. You mentioned like in Italy and like nobody's gonna know about this crazy thing if we don't tell you guys about it.
I mean, this was history in the making.
Yeah,
and I'll let Jake deep dive, but I'll just, before he does, I remember, because, Jake brought Professor Hollander to us. Like, that was Jake's professor in college, and he was telling him all this stuff. And when Professor Hollander started telling us about his ideas for World Basketball Day, and when it started picking up steam, it was another one of those situations where we were like, yo, we don't have like a budget to do this, but like
we just gotta do
we
it.
got this access. I was like, we are not gonna let this moment pass without the world being able to know that it's happened. Like it's just in respect and honor for Dave, we can't let that happen. So we got an incredibly talented friend of ours that we got connected with, who was down to just bring a camera and make it happen. Eric Dargan, unbelievably talented out of New York. But Jake can kind of give you the backstory.
That's a great context of it. But yeah, I mean, Dave he's one of those people that has a vision for what basketball should be, and actually is making it happen and changing the history of basketball. So whenever you get a chance to get a film camera in the UN, which doesn't happen, you take it. And so we were able to jump on it and just highlight it. And, Dave was my mentor, and he was my professor at NYU in the sports business program. And I had him multiple times, and we just kind of connected on seeing a different version of basketball and the basketball business landscape. And so he just tells me these stories, and I'm like, no one's doing it. He's like, no one's doing it. I'm like, well, we got to go. So we just, to MAASAI's point, working with some incredibly talented friends and amazing humans, we go and we put it together and we package it. And then we have the incredible moment that we had where we got to premiere it at the YMCA in New York, which is where some of it took place. And the YMCA was instrumental in the film.
And then in basketball.
Yeah, in basketball. And then we also premiered it here at Red Bull's headquarters, which was another awesome moment for us to just show our family and friends and people who, maybe didn't know what we were doing in New York during that time, but it was a chance for us to just bring everybody together and to celebrate.
And it's dope too now because like to be a part of basketball history, like there was ever only going to be one first World Basketball Day at the UN, and we're the ones that documented it. And now for anyone that wants to go learn about how this actually came about and how this happened and to see it firsthand, you have to go watch the first World Basketball Day mini documentary by Bristol Studio.
On our YouTube channel.
On our YouTube channel. And you should. You should, because it's unbelievable what Dave Hollander is accomplishing and has accomplished. And now for the rest of time, we will all be celebrating World Basketball Day on December 21st every year, just like we're going to celebrate Christmas every year a few days after that. So it's a huge deal, and we are just incredibly honored to have had the opportunity to tell that story. and be a part of basketball history. And you know, that's again, you don't think of doing these things.
Right.
You just put the work in and end up in a position and prepared for when opportunity shows up. And we took advantage of it. And, you know, again, it was all in honor of Dave and trying to shine a light on him, because we believe he's somebody that should have all the lights shined on. So we just try to highlight amazing people and on this journey, which, like you said, that's one of the best parts of the journey.
And just to kind of sum it up, like, we tell stories for the sake of the story. It's not for the marketing purposes. It's not for just to go sell product. Like, these stories are stories that we believe need to be in the world and 100%. Need to be documented. And that's what ultimately drives us to make those decisions against maybe financial reward or interest.
Yeah. Man, we can sit up here and rap all day, man, but I want to be courteous of you guys' time, man. So I asked you guys a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. But I want to ask one of you guys each individually.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot, you know what I mean? Didn't ask you guys beforehand, but what is the best advice you've ever been given? The best advice you've ever received? And you can share that with us. Whoever has it first can go ahead and chime in.
Maybe I feel like you might want to think about this one. I have like two like quick phrases that I think stuck with me. I don't know who gave it to me or when they gave it to me. I know one was from a Tyler the Creator interview that stuck with me, and I think he just said something very simple. Yeah. And it was, everything is figure outable. And I remember when he was coming up, like, he was just this outcast rapper and skater that no one wanted, to be near. Yeah. Look at him now. He's a visionary in so many different forms of art. So I think everything is figure outable. Yeah. That's our story. We're here making apparel, making content, hosting community runs all over the world, because we figured it out along the way. Yeah. And if you just looked at it from, a 30,000-foot view, it might seem daunting, and you might be like, oh, I don't even know where to begin. Everything is figure outable.
That's great.
There was one more I had. I think a lot of times when it comes to partnerships, right? Nobody is going to appreciate your art more than you will. And it can feel very personal at times. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, you have to remember that. And you have to be very mindful that, like, you're going to get what you negotiate, not necessarily what you deserve. And so I think the hard part in this industry is when you're entrepreneurial, you're doing your own thing, things can feel very personal. Yeah. But you have to be able to separate that. And then you have to be able to communicate, what you deserve and why you deserve it. Yeah. And ultimately that's what you get back. So I think those are things I've learned along the way that I either wish someone told me or I saw in an interview. Yeah.
Honestly, I would say meditate.
That's a good one.
That has unlocked. I watched it literally unlock like the next level of life for me. And when I say life, I mean personal development, because that's what entrepreneurship for me has been. It has been the school of hard knocks. It has been look in the mirror and, like, you can't run from all your whatever is toxic about you, whatever is not compatible for a bit, like whatever it is, you can't hide from yourself on this journey. You're forced to confront all your weaknesses, which is my favorite part about it, because and it all started in the pandemic when everything shut down. I went really inward. I got really curious about, like, unlocking the rest. We only use 10% of our brains. Yeah. I wanted to unlock the rest of it, and so I really started meditating and looking into mindfulness and all these things, and reading a bunch of books. And since then, like, I've just really intentionally followed that feeling I referenced earlier, where obviously having, like, a clear vision, but also trusting your intuition and your instincts and your gut, and following that excitement. Like, and again, I could be a weirdo, maybe, like, whatever it is, like, I'm just truly not going to sacrifice even a single day. If I'm lucky enough to have a dream and have a vision, I'm not going to sacrifice even one day not pursuing it. Yeah. Because I have it for a reason. I feel like God gives you these visions for a reason. Yeah. And if you can see it, you can achieve it. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that I see, and since then, I've really just focused on going inward. So it's not like really advice, other than, like, whoever got me into meditating, it kind of unlocked the ability for more information to come to me that has led to me becoming a better version of myself. And on an entrepreneurial journey, for all the entrepreneurs out there, you're gonna have to strive to be the best version of yourself if you want to have the most success. And that's not universal. There are a lot of assholes that are extremely successful, a lot of terrible people that are extremely successful. But
call them out real quick.
But when you're talking about personal joy, and because that's success, is waking up every day and loving what you do,
100%,
and loving who you are. More importantly, because we all know a bunch of multimillionaires that are miserable and hate themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the key, is going inward, attacking your weaknesses and just striving to be the best version of yourself, and everything else will kind of like unfold how it's supposed to. But if you do have a vision, if you're listening to this and you have a vision and you have a dream, it's your responsibility to relentlessly pursue it. You have it for a reason. And if you're not, someone else will. You're squandering it.
That part. Somebody else
and don't complain. Don't complain. Don't complain, because you're choosing.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible, man. I feel like that's the perfect way to leave things off, man. Last question we always ask all our guests on the What's in Your Bag podcast is, who should we have next on the show? But whoever you say, you got to get in your PG bag and give us the assist and help us get them on the show.
You should have... You should have a friend of ours named...
Good.
I was going to say Mamadou.
Oh, for sure.
Because for entrepreneurs who can...
Which Mamadou?
Yeah.
You know Mamadou.
Mamadou, yeah, we had him on already.
Oh, okay.
You got to get somebody
I
else.
was going to say you should have Dave on, but that would be a bit of a different perspective. But just the way that he's approaching basketball and the business of basketball and the basketball world.
Yeah.
He's just a great thinker, and his book How Basketball Can Save the World, which is available everywhere, is such an amazing blueprint that maybe it's a little bit different for the audience, but I know basketball is a big part of what you do, and I feel like he's just a great person to talk to.
100%.
Yeah, I think Dave. I mean, you can't go wrong with Dave.
He's built for this.
He's a genius. He's a genius. Who else?
You got friends.
A lot of friends. Popular guy. World traveler.
Man, you ain't never lied. Trying to think. Like, again, I'm thinking about the audience. You know, like what do they need to hear?
Jordan?
Jordan? Yeah, that could be.
Which Jordan?
From the Bristol runs, our model.
Oh, yeah. Yep. There's a bunch of Jordans out here.
Yeah, true. True. I wasn't even thinking of that Jordan, but that's a great Jordan. There's a lot of Jordans.
Which Jordan were you thinking?
I was thinking all the Jordans.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just all of them.
Oh, you should have Cam. Cam Look.
Oh,
that is a good one.
Yeah,
that is a good one.
That'd be good. I feel because he's doing a lot of creative stuff. He's obviously doing his photography, but he's parlayed that really well into product and a brand. And I think he's a perfect example of someone who I think there are a lot of people out there who probably could, benefit from hearing how he's been able to parlay some of that stuff and maybe get a lot of value out of that.
I love it, man. All right, man. Well, shoot, we're gonna circle back because I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and get live and help us get them on. You know what I mean? But
we'll do whatever we can.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. But we also end off every episode giving flowers, man. And again, I just want to give you guys your flowers for number one, being incredible people right behind the brand. Because we talked about there's a bunch of people out here who doing janky business or super transactional, man. And you guys have been, two genuine individuals from the first time I met you. You know what I mean? So I'm incredibly honored to have been able to have you guys on the pod. And for you guys making time to come on the pod despite the schedules. I definitely appreciate it. Don't take it for granted, man. And I'm always going to be a big fan of what you guys are doing with Bristol. And I can't wait to see what's next. I already know it's going to be incredible. And I'm looking forward to see it.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you. And likewise, we don't take this for granted at all. And you inspire us. Like, anyone who's still fully pursuing their dreams is an inspiration to me personally. And that's the type of energy I like to be around. So keep going, man. Like, just keep going. Like,
appreciate you.
You can do
Seriously.
it.
Thanks for having us on.
Always, fellas. Appreciate you guys, man. My guys.
Bron has had
you
to
like. You have to be like Wemby. You have to be like, all I want to do is play basketball.
That's actually a good example. Yeah. That's a good example.
Yeah.
Wemby actually is following the Bron blueprint as far as like I'm going to have an impact in my home community. I'm going to say all the right things on camera and off camera.
Take the pictures with the
I
kids.
actually love basketball, and I prioritize basketball above everything else, and everything else is extra.
I'm not going to be in the club outside going crazy.
Yeah.
It's great that he went to the Spurs, bro. That was like the perfect place for him to go.
They timed it, man. They set it up.
No, they had
the NBA set that shit up, man.
The NBA did that on purpose.
Yeah, your monkeys don't go if you think that was just all happenstance.
Yeah.
They're smart.
They made sure he went to.
And no one's mad at it, though.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a good spot for him. I didn't want to see him in Houston or Charlotte. Can you imagine him?
No.
Like, come on. That would have been nasty.
No, it worked out exactly how it was supposed to. No one's mad at that executive decision.
Nah. Facts came down from the top.
And they owed us from when they vetoed the Chris Paul shit. Like,
yeah.
So they had to give us Luka.
Yeah.
Luka shit is
getting weirder and weirder. They were talking about it on First Take today in that clip. He said that Dan Gilbert was actually the reason why that CP3 trade didn't go through, because basically Dan Gilbert was pissed at the whole decision. LeBron left, so he was like, "Oh, players have like too much power." They're like, "Da da da."
So he pissed
so
off.
When the trade went through, he basically got all the owners. Like he rallied all the owners together and was like, "Yo, the players have too much power. They're like doing whatever they want to do, forcing their way out." And then he got the owners to basically get their return to axe the trade.
That sounds about right.
I'm like, dang,
Sounds about right.
I never knew that. That's crazy. Like, you know what I mean?
That's just happening all the time. You know, like really behind the scenes, that's the type of shit that's happening that we just don't hear about.
And I feel like back then, Stern was like a little bit more of a
strict.
He was an owner's guy as opposed to Adam, who's like kind of just like Adam. I feel like for the most part, kind of just does like the right thing.
Yeah.
What's in the best interest of like what you would consider common sense.
It's gonna get interesting though. Like this next phase was going to get interesting.
With Europe and all that?
That, and I think just the player empowerment era, we're kind of seeing that pushback now from teams and owners. Like the Luka trade was kind of like this big domino to fall, where they're talking about Jaren Jackson, and now he's eligible, I think, next year for, was it like $350 million?
Especially if he wants another deport.
And so now there's a new rumor that like the Grizzlies will probably just use the Luka thing to be like trade him for another star, so they don't have to pay him $350 million.
Yeah,
trade him where?
Trade him for like Zion or something, right? Because if you get like a superstar, you still have to pay them a max. But it's if they hit
35% max.
Yeah,
because they're not your guy.
Because they're not your guy. Exactly. So like, there's a thing where like because of the second apron and some stuff that like penalizes teams for like spending too much money. Yeah. Teams like don't want to be locked up by a player like that. It's like, is Jaren Jackson going to win you a championship?
Yeah.
No. He could be a piece.
Yeah, but at $350 million, that ain't your piece. That ain't a piece. That's your piece.
Right? Yeah.
So it's like, so owners and teams are going to. So if you're the superstar who was originally untradeable, or like you were like, oh, I'm doing all the right things, I get my money. Now you're going to see teams being like, you're gone.
Yeah.
Which was the exact opposite of what we've seen. And Luka going, I think, made it clear like, no one is good.
Alrighty, guys, this has been another episode of the What's in Your Bag podcast. If you guys missed any, go ahead and tap in on the YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Thanks for all the love. We'll catch you guys soon. Peace.
I've been in my bag for a while, I'm invincible. Story of a young boss, grinding shit get critical. Calling on my bros one time, cause you special. I had some hoop dreams of right rounds for my mentor. Every target that I shoot is on point like a pencil. Different route, change relationships, I'm so sorry. Came up from the trenches and I made it, I say hardly. Now